Good afternoon. I'm Recruiting Officer Mr. Keith Carble, and on behalf of Lieutenant Colonel Matthew F. Ignatovic and the officers, non-commissioned officers, honorary guests, staff members, and cadets of the Dauntless Battalion, welcome to the 2014 Army ROTC Commissioning Ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, the commissioning class of 2014. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem sung by Dr. Sharon Conowitz, the recitation of the Soldier's Creed by Cadet Alexander McCarthy, and the invocation to be given by Reverend Dr. Stanley Gordon Smith.
Present arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order, arms.
I am an American soldier. I'm a warrior and a member of a team. I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values. I will always place the mission first. I will never accept defeat. I will never quit. I will never leave a fallen comrade. I'm disciplined, physically and mentally tough, trained and proficient in my warrior's tasks and drills. I always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself. I am an expert and I am a professional. I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the enemies of the United States of America in close combat. I'm a guardian of freedom and the American way of life. I am an American soldier.
Let us bow our heads. O God, who has been our help in ages past and our hope for years to come, our shelter in the stormy blast, and our eternal home. God, we thank you for this commissioning ceremony today. We thank you for every school represented here. We thank you for the ROTC students. We thank you for their desire to serve and to protect this country we call the United States of America. Thank you for their dedication, O Lord. God, we thank you for the families who sacrificially have allowed them to come, that they might serve, that they might make our country better. God bless them. Bless the ROTC. And as they go forth, God, be with them lockstep, every step of the way, God, that they might endeavor to make this country all that it ought to be and defend our shores. We thank you, God. Amen.
Please be seated. Today we will commission a total of 14 cadets from Widener, Villanova, Westchester, Neumann, and Penn State-Abington universities. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to present Lieutenant Colonel Matthew F. Ignatovic, the Dauntless Battalion Commander and Professor of Military Science.
Hello, what a beautiful day. Thanks for coming out today. General Shields, General Marion, President Harris, President Miranda, Provost Wilhite. We've got Ms. Barron, the Regional Director of Troops to Teachers, with us today. Ms. Lillian Morrison of Westchester University's Veterans Center. Faculty, Pennsylvania Military College alumni. I see you have joined us as well. Alumni from the various universities, friends, and most importantly, family. Thanks again for joining us today on such a wonderful day as we soon commission, and my last time calling them cadets, into the United States Army. To the families of those commissioning today, I just want to say thank you for your support. Joining the Army, such an honorable profession, and it seems like yesterday when I was asking my mom and dad, you know, I want to join the Army, and their look of trepidation and concern, you know, on wanting to serve our nation. And I appreciate your support, and although they might not show it, they truly appreciate your support for commissioning and coming through ROTC. For our veterans here, thank you for your service. To the cadets, you've made it. That light's been shining bright at the end of the tunnel, and you're finally getting ready to walk through it and become an officer. Just some of their accomplishments over the past 2 to 4 years, 4 years for most of them. Getting up at 05 in the morning when most of their classmates are still sleeping in. Wearing that long sleeve Army uniform when it's 80 to 90 degrees outside with 100% humidity. Giving up their weekends, training up in the field, doing PT, and most importantly, that evolution they've made. They've gone from being taught as a brand new freshman to teaching and leading others. They've made that transition. The Army values synonymous with those ideals of the various universities have shaped them. Academic excellence, cultural and language understanding, leadership, and community involvements were all sessions as part of their road to making it and becoming an officer in the United States Army. They've had some challenges over the past few years, but despite all that, they've made it. Congratulations. I am very proud of you. Please, a round of applause for our cadets. As I come to the close of my comments, I would like to again thank the cadets and veterans here today who have served and are serving for our freedom and all you've done and are still doing for our country. To our cadets and soon-to-be lieutenants, thank you for raising your hand and saying, "Send me," that you're willing to lead and take care of our soldiers as well as serve our great nation. Keep earning your rank as an officer. It doesn't stop once you pin it on. It is a privilege and not a right. At this time, I'm going to transition and introduce General Shields, who's our guest speaker for today. He is also a product of ROTC, and we're proud to have him today, and one of the few early commissioning program officers we see serving in the military. Is a product that I went through as well, the early commissioning program. He graduated and commissioned at a Marion Military Institute in Alabama. General Shields has served at all levels of leadership responsibility, from platoon leader all the way up through brigade commander. And he's currently serving as the director of the Joint Staff, Joint Forces Headquarters, New York. His awards are quite extensive, and please refer to your program, and they're all depicted within there. He is affiliated with the National Guard Association of the United States, the Military Association of New York, the Association of the United States Army, and the American Legion. Please, if I could get a warm welcome and applause for General Shields.
It's hot up here. I'm sweating. I know you guys are going to be sweating. Well, good afternoon, and let me get my notes together here. Hold on. The good news is my remarks will be brief, so I know you're going to enjoy that part of it. But good afternoon, President Harris, Lieutenant Colonel Ignatovic, President Miranda, Reverend Smith, an easy name I can say, Mr. McNulty, our new second lieutenants, or soon to be second lieutenants, the cadets that are here, veterans, friends, and family. It's my distinct pleasure to be here with you today. As I said, I promise to keep my remarks brief, but I do want to accomplish three things. The first is to congratulate our new second lieutenants. The second is to thank them for choosing to serve our nation. And the third is to impart a few words of advice as you begin your military career. This is a very exciting day because we're welcoming 14 young men and women into one of the most prestigious, challenging, and rewarding careers our nation has to offer, that of being a commissioned Army officer. I want to congratulate each of you on your choice to serve our nation. Receiving your commission as a second lieutenant is a momentous occasion, one of joy and celebration, but also of great responsibility. You must always uphold the highest standards and personal discipline in and out of uniform every day, every hour of every day. I also want to thank and congratulate your friends and families. I'm sweating up a storm here, excuse me. We all draw strength from our friends and families. They are the silent support behind our Army. It's a huge commitment to pursue a college degree and participate in ROTC while our nation is at war. It takes personal courage, intense commitment, and determination to become an Army officer, and it takes strong supporting friends and families. So thank you for all that everyone has done. Some of you will be serving our nation in the active Army, while others have chosen to serve in the National Guard or the Army Reserve. All of you have chosen a noble cause. I commend you for choosing a path of service and hope you enjoy your Army career. As a new second lieutenant, there is a lot to learn. Every organization has its own way of doing things, and the Army is no different. Your job is to watch, learn, and lead, and I'd like to pass on some advice from my 31 years in the Army. Commissioned officers swear an oath to defend and support the Constitution of the United States. Remember this oath as you execute your daily duties. You work for the United States of America and are expected to be above reproach. Always do what's right, even when no one is looking. You already know what's right and what's wrong. Never lie, cheat, or steal. Your reputation will always precede you, and once it's blemished, it's hard to repair. One of my favorite sayings is, people are people. Your soldiers are just like you. They have dreams, aspirations, strengths, frailties, and many of the same problems that you do. Remember, your job is to take care of your soldiers, hold them to the standard, ensure that they have the training and materials necessary, trust them, be fair and consistent. You are not their friend, you are their leader. Don't look for shortcuts. The Army is full of rules and regulations. Don't look for shortcuts, and don't let your subordinates evade the rules. When you don't enforce the standards, you're not helping your soldiers, you're hurting them. Listen to your NCOs. They make things happen and execute your guidance. Trust them and listen to their advice. Deal with problems head on. Bad things happen, that's a fact of life. The question is, how will you react? Seek advice from your boss, your peers, subordinate leaders, and be confident in your decision. Grow where you're planted. What I mean by this is do the best job you can and don't worry about your next assignment. You will be recognized and rewarded for good work. Thank, recognize, and give credit for good performance. Don't hesitate to recognize and acknowledge good performance. Give credit to your NCOs and your soldiers for the job they do. It's not about making you look good, it's about mission accomplishment. If your organization does well, you will do well. Your soldiers see everything you do. Don't kid yourself thinking they won't know what you're doing. There are no secrets in the Army, and this goes back to my earlier comment about always doing what's right. And finally, relax and enjoy yourself. You have a solid foundation and will continue to gain experience through your assignments. Be calm under pressure, fall back on your experience and training, and remember that you have a support structure available to help you make decisions. Ask for and seek advice from those you trust. There is no higher calling than leading American soldiers. Be proud of your second lieutenant bars and remember the vast amount of trust and confidence which has been bestowed upon you. Make us proud. Congratulations and good luck.
Sir, before you sat down, just a token of our appreciation from the Dauntless Battalion. Class of 2014 and the faculty, appreciate you coming out and your words of wisdom, and thanks again, sir.
All right, thank you. Well, hey, thank you all again. Thanks, sir. I don't want to sweat on you. All right, thank you. Thank you, sir. All right, thank you. Thanks, sir. All right, thank you. Thanks, sir. Gray. Gray would absorb the stress. Thank you.
Each newly commissioned officer will now be called forward individually for the administration of the oath of office by a military officer, active or retired, for the traditional pinning on of the gold bars representing their new rank of second lieutenant, and for the first salute with a non-commissioned officer. Those of you who have been invited to assist with the pinning on of rank should come forward after the oath of office is complete. Feel free to move forward to take photos of your commissionee at that time. Our first commissionee is Cadet Matthew C. Brand. Cadet Brand is graduating from Westchester with a Bachelor of Science degree in Health Promotion, Public Health, and a Bachelor of Science degree in Health Administration with a concentration in Health Management, and will enter the Army as a Quartermaster Officer. During his senior year, he served as the Delta Company Executive Officer and the Battalion Public Affairs Officer. He will enter active duty and be stationed at Fort Drum, New York. Cadet Brand will have his oath administered by his cousin, Air Force Captain Tony Streeter.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your full name. Having been appointed an officer in the Army of the United States, in the grade of second lieutenant, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I'm about to enter. So help me God.
Lieutenant Brand will have his rank pinned on by his spouse, Mrs. Melissa Brand, and cousin, Marine Corps Major Corey Smith. Lieutenant Brand will now receive his first salute from his uncle, retired Chief Petty Officer John D. Young. One of the traditions associated with the hand salute has withstood the test of time. The tradition is a newly appointed officer giving a silver dollar to the first enlisted person to salute them after having received their commission. The exact origin of this custom is arguable. Researchers suggest that it came from the British regiments stationed in colonial America. They brought with them a number of customs and traditions that were retained by the newly formed American units. For example, newly commissioned British officers were assigned an enlisted soldier to train them, teach them the regiment's history and traditions, and ensure the officer's kit, dress and field uniforms, and personal equipment were serviceable at all times. Grateful lieutenants often showed their heartfelt gratitude informally by compensating the enlisted man with a small amount of money. This custom continued to grow within the British military and newly formed American units. American second lieutenants in 1816 received a monthly base pay of $25, a $3 ration allowance, and $1 for an enlisted advisor. The advisor's pay was later discontinued, but the responsibility for teaching the newly commissioned officer continued. The present-day tradition is thought to have its roots in this relationship. The silver dollar is traditionally the only coin given in exchange for the first salute. The coin represents more than $1 in currency. To every new officer, it has special significance. It represents the symbolic receipt of respect due a newly earned rank and position. Congratulations, Lieutenant Brand. Cadet Stephen C. Doyle. Cadet Doyle is graduating from Widener University with a Bachelor of Science degree in Criminal Justice and will enter the Army Reserve as his Transportation Corps officer. During his senior year, he served as the Alpha Company First Sergeant and then the Alpha Company Commander. He will serve in the U.S. Army Reserve in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Cadet Doyle will have his oath administered by the Professor of Military Science, Lieutenant Colonel Ignatovic. Lieutenant Doyle will have his rank pinned on by his parents, Mr. and Mrs. William and Ramona Doyle. Lieutenant Doyle will now receive his first salute from Sergeant First Class Christopher A. Curtis. Congratulations, Lieutenant Doyle. Cadet Brahim Hartley. Cadet Hartley is graduating from Westchester University with a Bachelor of Science degree in Professional Studies with minors in Public Management and Philosophy, and will enter the Army National Guard as an Ordnance Corps officer. During his senior year, he served as the Delta Company Assistant S3. He will serve in the Pennsylvania Army National Guard. Cadet Hartley will have his oath administered by Lieutenant Colonel Ignatovic. Lieutenant Hartley will have his rank pinned on by his mother, Mrs. Nanette Hartley. Lieutenant Hartley will now receive his first salute from retired Army Staff Sergeant Erica Walsh. Congratulations, Lieutenant Hartley. Cadet Kramer J. Caulfields. Cadet Caulfields is graduating from Neumann University with a Bachelor of Science degree in Criminal Justice and will enter the Army as a Signal Corps officer with branch detail in infantry. During his senior year, he served as the Alpha Company Commander and Battalion Command Sergeant Major. He will enter active duty and be stationed at Fort Benning, Georgia. Cadet Caulfields will have his oath administered by Lieutenant Colonel Ignatovic. Lieutenant Caulfields will have his rank pinned on by his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Clay and Kim Caulfields. Lieutenant Caulfields will now receive his first salute from Master Sergeant Jason Seeberger. Congratulations, Lieutenant Caulfields. Cadet Alan Palmer Landis. Cadet Landis is graduating from Villanova University with a Bachelor of Science degree in Environmental Science and will enter the Army as an Engineer Corps officer. During his senior year, he served as the Bravo Company Commander and then the Battalion Adjutant. He will serve in the Pennsylvania Army National Guard. Cadet Landis will have his oath administered by Lieutenant Colonel Ignatovic. Lieutenant Landis will have his rank pinned on by his parents, Mr. Kevin Landis and Mrs. Anne-Marie Fluke. Lieutenant Landis will now receive his first salute from Master Sergeant Jason Seeberger.
Get down with it.
Congratulations, Lieutenant Landis. Cadet Mark J. LaPenta. Cadet LaPenta is graduating from Penn State University-Abington College with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Criminal Justice and will enter the Army as a Field Artillery Officer. During his senior year, he serves as the Charlie Company Commander and First Sergeant. He will serve in the Pennsylvania Army National Guard. Cadet LaPenta will have his oath administered by Lieutenant Colonel Ignatovic. Cadet LaPenta will have his will have his rank pinned on by his mother, Mrs. Teresa Conroy. Lieutenant LaPenta will now receive his first salute from Drill Sergeant Vicente Ramirez. Congratulations, Lieutenant LaPenta. Cadet Aaron Larson. Cadet Larson is graduating from Villanova University with a Bachelor of Science degree in Chemistry and a minor in Military Science, and will enter the Army as a Quartermaster Corps officer. During her senior year, she served as the Bravo Company Commander and then the Battalion Public Affairs Officer. She will serve in the Army Reserve in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Cadet Larson will have her oath administered by Lieutenant Colonel Ignatovic. Lieutenant Larson will have her rank pinned on by her mother, Mrs. Elaine Stipula. Lieutenant Larson will now receive her first salute from Master Sergeant Jason Seeberger. Congratulations, Lieutenant Larson. Cadet Patrick C. Loughnane. Cadet Loughnane is graduating from Villanova University with a Bachelor of Science degree in Electrical Engineering and minor in Military Science, and will enter the Army as a Signal Corps officer with a branch detail in Field Artillery. During his senior year, he served as the Bravo Company First Sergeant and the Battalion Supply Officer. He will attend the Basic Officer Leader course at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, where he will receive his follow-on assignment. Cadet Loughnane will have his oath administered by his father, former Army First Lieutenant Brian Loughnane. Lieutenant Loughnane will have his rank pinned on by his parents, Lieutenant and Mrs. Brian and Elaine Loughnane. Lieutenant Loughnane will receive his first salute from Master Sergeant Jason Seeberger. Congratulations, Lieutenant Loughnane. Cadet Ashley S. Meckelborg. Cadet Meckelborg is graduating from Villanova University with a Bachelor of Science degree in Finance and Management Information Systems, and with minors in Business Analytics and Military Science, and will enter the Army as a Finance Corps officer. During her senior year, she served as the Bravo Company Public Affairs Officer and the Battalion Adjutant. She will serve in the U.S. Army Reserve with duty at Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Cadet Mecklenburg will have her oath administered by Second Lieutenant Aaron Lane. Lieutenant Mecklenburg will have her rank pinned on by her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Brian and Kim Mecklenburg. Lieutenant Mecklenburg will receive her first salute from her cousin, U.S. Navy hospitalman Brendan Vallier. Congratulations, Lieutenant Mecklenburg. Cadet Virginia A. Orlowski. Cadet Orlowski is graduating from Westchester University with a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology and will enter the Army as a military intelligence officer with branch detail in field artillery. During her senior year, she served as the Delta Company First Sergeant and then Commander. She will attend the Basic Officer Leader course at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, where she will receive her follow-on assignment. Cadet Orlowski will have her oath administered by her uncle, Captain Cliff Morales. Lieutenant Orlowski will have her rank pinned on by her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Rich and Angeline Orlowski, her grandfather, Mr. Richard Orlowski, and her aunt, Judy Morales. Lieutenant Orlowski will now receive her first salute from Sergeant First Class Robinson Peniagua. Congratulations, Lieutenant Orlowski. Cadet Brian G. Peloso. Cadet Peloso is graduating from Villanova University with a Bachelor of Science degree in Psychology with a minor in Cognitive Science and Military Science, and will enter the Army as a Military Intelligence Officer with branch detail in armor. During his senior year, he served as the Battalion Command Sergeant Major and then the Executive Officer. He will attend the Basic Officer Leader course at Fort Benning, Georgia, where he will receive his follow-on assignment. Cadet Peloso will have his oath administered by Lieutenant Colonel Ignatovic. Lieutenant Peloso will have his rank pinned on by his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Keith and Pam Peloso. Lieutenant Peloso will receive his first salute from Master Sergeant Jason Seaberger. Congratulations, Lieutenant Peloso. Cadet Randall A. Roos. Cadet Roos is graduating from Villanova University with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science with a concentration in National Security and a minor in Chinese and Military Science. He will enter the Army as an infantry officer. During his senior year, he served as the battalion commander and the Battalion S3. His first assignment will be at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Cadet Roos will have his oath administered by his father, U.S. Naval Captain Joel Roos. Lieutenant Roos will have his rank pinned on by his parents, Captain Joel Roos and Mrs. Leslie Roos. Lieutenant Roos will receive his first salute from Master Sergeant Jason Seeberger. Congratulations, Lieutenant Roos. Cadet Rachel V. Segel. Cadet Segel is graduating from Villanova University with a Bachelor of Science degree in nursing with a minor in military science and will enter the Army as a Nurse Corps officer. During her senior year, she served as the Bravo Company First Sergeant and then Public Affairs Officer. Cadet Segel will attend the Nurse Basic Officer Leader course at Fort Sam Houston, Texas, and receive her follow-on assignment. Cadet Segel will have her oath administered by her brother, First Lieutenant Michael L. Segel. Lieutenant Segel will have her rank pinned on by her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Peter and Nancy Segel, and her brother, Second Lieutenant Peter J. Segel. Lieutenant Segel will receive her first salute from Master Sergeant Jason Seeberger. Congratulations, Lieutenant Segel. Cadet Andrew M. Stump. Cadet Stump is graduating from Westchester University with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science and will enter the Army as a Transportation Corps officer. During his senior year, he served as the battalion commander and the battalion operations officer. His first duty assignment will be at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Cadet Stump will have his oath administered by the battalion executive officer, Major Russ Watkins. Lieutenant Stump will have his rank pinned on by his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Andrew and Abby Stump, and his sister, Holly Stump. Lieutenant Stump will now receive his first salute from Sergeant First Class Michael Metzger. Congratulations, Lieutenant Stump. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the posting of the orders. Attention to orders. The President of the United States has reposed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, valor, fidelity, and abilities of Matthew C. Brand, Stephen C. Doyle, Brahim Hartley, Kramer J. Caulfields, Alan Palmer Landis, Mark J. LaPenta, Aaron Larson, Patrick C. Locknane, Ashley S. Meckelborg, Virginia A. Orlowski, Brian G. Pelozzo, Randall A. Roos, Rachel V. Segel, and Andrew M. Smith. They are therefore appointed to the grade of Second Lieutenant in the United States Army effective 15 May 2014. Ladies and gentlemen, the newly commissioned class of 2014. Please be seated. Second Lieutenant Randall Roos and Second Lieutenant Andrew Stump will now be presented the commissioning sabers. These sabers are awarded to the newly commissioned second lieutenants who have demonstrated the highest attributes of scholastic achievement, leadership excellence, and overall superior performance. Lieutenant Roos and Lieutenant Stump will receive the sabers from Mr. David McNulty, Esquire, PMC class of 1963.
Gentlemen, can you stand over here, please? Stand at ease. I know you're not Smith, you're Stump, right? Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Harris, General Shields, distinguished guests, and especially the proud families of all these wonderful young lieutenants. It's my honor and privilege to come to you today and participate in this ceremony. It's a deeply moving and sentimental time for me, for this is my 51st anniversary of my graduation from this institution, which was known as Pennsylvania Military College, the second oldest military school in the nation. I hear a round of applause from some alumni back there. It is also the 51st anniversary of my own commissioning as a young second lieutenant on the parade field behind Old Main. I come to you, gentlemen, as a voice from the past, bringing you a message of insight and truth for your future. It is the same message that we received as incoming freshman cadets in 1959. That timeless message is this, that character counts. It counted then, and it counts today more than ever. Dr. Harris's predecessor from generations past, Colonel Hyatt, coined an epigram of truth for all young cadets at this institution. It is part of the wisdom literature of PMC and Widener that has stood the test of time and the devolution of our modern mores. His proverb was as follows: when wealth is lost, nothing is lost. When health is lost, something is lost. But when character is lost, all is lost. In the opening lines of our PMC alma mater, we sang, "Beneath the dome of PMC, the cadets in gray marched by. The banners of our loyalty held ever bright and high. Though weary years have called us forth from home to foreign sod, the truths you taught shall hold us fast to country and to God. Weary years did indeed call my classmates forth to hostile foreign sod. The truths we were taught under this dome, as symbolized by the sabers, have indeed held us fast to country and to God. Two of my classmates paid the ultimate price for the preservation of these truths by their combat service in Vietnam. On the plaque behind you, you will find their names. John Lance Gagan, affectionately known as Jack, and William James Stevenson, affectionately known as Buddy. My friend Jack was the top cadet and president of our class in 1963. He was brigade commander. He was a young man of character and integrity, one of the most distinguished military students in the entire nation in 1963. Like you, Jack was the recipient of this saber 51 years ago. In an historic event behind Old Main, retired President and former five-star General Dwight David Eisenhower reviewed the Pennsylvania Military College Corps of Cadets prior to our commissioning ceremony. In return, Jack Gagan presented another ceremonial saber to President Eisenhower, and we, the Corps of Cadets, were saluted and blessed by the Supreme Allied Commander of World War II and the President of the United States, the man who put one nation under God into our Pledge of Allegiance. Today, as acclaimed leaders in the Dauntless Battalion, you are continuing heirs and benefactors of that salute and blessing by General Eisenhower. My presentation of this saber will link you all of the cadets, all the lieutenants now, back in time to that historic event here in 1963. 2 years later, Jack would be killed in Vietnam in the Battle of the Ia Valley. Jack's heroic story is portrayed in the Mel Gibson movie, We Were Soldiers. Jack's death was like his life, virtuous and noble. He received the Silver Star for gallantry and trying to save one of his young wounded troopers. It is with sacred honor and cherished memory of Jack and Buddy, Nathan Raudenbush, class of '05, and all those other names on the plaques who were killed in combat, on behalf of all the living members of the Dauntless Battalion and other cadets who are here today, and the long gray line of Pennsylvania Military College, this saber will be presented to each of you in that memory. There's one warning, there's one caveat, however. The saber comes heavy with responsibility and symbolism. The good news is that it's lightened by the heartfelt prayers of your loved ones here today and all the members of the Cadet Corps that have preceded you. Receiving the saber is much like unto being knighted. On behalf of all your fellow officers, you are being sanctified, set apart for a noble and decent purpose. General Eisenhower told us, history does not long entrust the care of freedom to the weak or the timid. In Saving Private Ryan, Captain John Miller whispered into the ear of Private James Ryan, James, earn it, earn it. In World War I, in Flanders Field, Dr. John McCrae passed the torch to a new generation, saying, if ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep. Abraham Lincoln spoke of the mystic cords of memory stretching from every battlefield and patriot grave to every living heart all over this broad land. On behalf of all those who have gone before, Jack, Buddy, Nathan, and all those yet to be commissioned, I charge you to earn it. Do not break faith with us. Do not break those mystic chords of memory. I charge you to be a person of firm character, a lieutenant of unshakable ethic, an officer of unmatched integrity. George Washington said, when we assumed the soldier, we did not lay aside the citizen. You are to be a leader beyond reproach, a servant of inexhaustible patience and grace, a patriot aglow with zeal and passion for your country and Constitution, and a model citizen and alumnus of the highest virtue and integrity. As fate would have it, today I'm the same age President Eisenhower was when he presented that saber in 1963. He said to us, "Godspeed you, except for the inescapable obstacle imposed by 50 years difference in our ages, I'd be proud to follow you wherever you will lead." I can say the same thing to you, except for the inescapable obstacle imposed by the impediment of 51 years difference in our ages. I too would be proud to follow you and all of your fellow lieutenants wherever you will lead. Godspeed you all and keep you in his care. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Stop from the furthest cadet, Lieutenant Noah. Who's getting stuff? The Roos, Lieutenant type, one each.
Lieutenant Roos and Lieutenant Stump will now prepare to sheath the Corps sabers. This event is a long-standing tradition carried on from the early days of military colleges. The cadet first captain would sheath the saber to signal the end of the academic year. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the benediction presented by Reverend Dr. Stanley Gordon Smith and remain standing for the playing of the Army Song.
May God bless you and keep you, and may he smile upon you and give you peace. Second lieutenants, remember this. Now unto him who is able to keep you from falling and to present you faultless before his throne with exceeding great joy, to the only wise God, our Savior, be glory and majesty, dominion and power, both now, henceforth, and forevermore.
Till the battle's won and the army goes rolling along. Then it's high, high, hey, the army's on its way. Now the victory is loud and strong. Already know, you always know that the army goes rolling along.
On behalf of Lieutenant Ignatovic and the entire Dauntless Battalion, thank you for joining us today for this very special occasion. At this time, we would like all of the new lieutenants, the cadre, and Brigadier General Shields to meet here for a picture. The battalion is hosting a reception in the Webb Room in the University Center afterwards. Please join us to congratulate the new commissionees. Thank you.